All right, so I figured to make a little video on this Holley Weber. Back when I had one of these, when I was driving this, it was like 30 years ago, and I drove every day with one of these carburetors on my car. It's my memory gets a little faded because it was 30 years ago, and I didn't get a chance to when I started that video on the 1600 build to actually check the carburetor and remember exactly how it works because it was getting dark and I just needed to get that video in. So, because there's a whole bunch of reasons behind that. But anyway, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this, and there's one correction I have to make in here. This is not a vacuum actuated. It's not a vacuum secondary carburetor. The vacuum secondary carburetor I was thinking of was the Quadrajet. That's what I used to build at about the same period of time, so they kind of got intermingled together. And I haven't worked on one of these with one of these particular carburetors in a long time. So I was just going by memory, and my memory was faded. So let's look at this again. What this is has a primary and a secondary. So it opens up, so the engine runs on basically one of the carburetors, in one part of the carburetor, and it drives around on one part of the carburetor. And then what you do is when you open it up to the secondary, it opens up both of them. So the reason I like these carburetors is because they were pretty easy to work on. They were pretty easy to jet. I mean, the jetting is actually the most difficult part, but they were pretty easy once you jetted them, that they didn't clog up much or anything like that. Versus the other options that were available at the time were like Weber or Zenith or Bug Spray, and I believe all of those had a left and a right, so that you were always operating on both of these. Don't quote me on that, but just double check it yourself. In fact, double check all your facts on everything just to make sure. But yeah, we had a right and a left. And then what would happen with those is if you got a jet clog, you'd lose two cylinders. So especially on the Webers, they were famous for clogging jets, and it's kind of a pain, especially in a bus. I don't want to have to deal with anything like that. That's why I'm going with this particular carburetor. Plus, the other thing is when you're running on one Venturi all the time, you can get a little bit better gas mileage by doing that. So it can be economical. You can still have the power. You can still have the performance of the of the other carburetors. Maybe pretty close, but not quite, because this is a 26, 27. Yeah, is that 26? You can see it. And 27 on that one. So the primary is a 26. So you're running around a 26 millimeter carburetor, and then when you floor it, you get a 27. So that's what 52, 53 CFM, 53 centimeters. So at that's actually a pretty good sized carburetor. It's a little bit bigger than a Weber 40, and it doesn't stand up as high. The other problem you have in the bus, it stands up too high, and it's kind of hard to actually work on it. If you have to do anything, you have to take the carburetor out with the regular Weber 40s, and that's one of the things I'm trying to avoid, is trying to keep it very simple and easy to work on. So on your 1600, if you're going to run one of these, remember it is not a vacuum actuated secondary. I thought it was because I was thinking about the Quadrajet, which is, and this carburetor is it does have just two. That has a mechanical secondary, but it is progressive, where one side works all the time, and then when you floor it, you get the second, where the other carburetors aren't. So that's one of the reasons I like to run these. I ran these for years anyway, and I just completely forgot about how they worked and stuff because I haven't worked on one in 30 years. So anyway, I'll talk to you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.